Well, this morning we talked about the power of life over death. Using the story of Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead, we talked about what it means when Christ comes into a person's life and He raises them back to life, and then afterward they gradually let go of the grave clothes. In the Bible, the meaning of life is not just that you're breathing, it's that you're growing, you're expanding, you're reproducing, you're connecting, you're experiencing, you're loving, you're becoming more and more what you were created to be. That's called life in the Bible. In the Bible, death is anything that is diminishing or getting weaker. It's becoming disconnected or detached from the people around it. It's becoming vacant and unresponsive, and it's seeking pleasure but never satisfied, less and less what it was designed by God to be. So when you think of life and death in those terms, you start to recognize that a lot of people around us every day look like they're living, but they're actually dead. Or in some cases, like Lazarus, they're alive, but they're still wearing the grave clothes, the things that entangle them and hold them down and addict them and cause their relationships to become sour. So this morning, as we think about how do we help Jesus raise people from the dead, and how do we help Him remove the grave clothes, maybe you'll ask yourself a few questions about the people that are working or in a Bible study around you. One, ask yourself, in what ways do I see images of life or images of death in that person's life? You might talk for a little while about some of their behaviors and maybe some of their habits or their addictions and say, these seem to me to be limiting them and diminishing them and separating them, and that's a symbol of death. The second question is, what do you have at your disposal? What can you do, or what do you have in you that maybe God could use to help that person let go of those entanglements or those grave clothes? And then finally, the third question is, how do I release it? How do I give what I have or what I can do so that I can give life to that person and they can start to let go of the things that are dragging them down? My dream for our small groups and for your team and for our whole church is that God would take people who are alive and He would take off their grave clothes so they are fully alive. And I'm praying that God will take people who are spiritually dead and with an encounter with Jesus Christ, make them alive for the first time in their life.